From Unique Toys, we have No Minds and Unhappy, or as we like to call them, Highbrow and I think it's Apeface. That's the closest one I can see as far as the pictures on the back. So it only shows 2 modes, but we'll see if there's a third for the Headmaster Horrorcon. But yes, Unique Toys has put out this set of 2 Headmasters, and we're going to take a look at it. And if you're new to the channel, I'm Captain Kyle. Welcome aboard. If you've been watching for a while, thanks for coming back. Very cool of you. And yeah, let's have some fun with some binary bonded bots. Be right back. So I'm going to use my handy knife here to cut open the top. And it's basically black and white, which is not the best artwork, but I don't know why they didn't color it in, but it's all right. Kind of figured it out. And we do have color pictures on the back. Now, it is interesting to me how they named them somewhat aptly. I mean, Highbrow, which is obviously what this guy is notoriously unhappy because he's smarter than you. Smarter than me, he's smarter than everybody. And it is such a pain that he is forced to interact with those who are so much worse than him. And Gort, kind of rude, obnoxious, so makes it even worse. Well, let's get it out of the plastic here. I'll bring over the turntable of doom, and let's take out Unhappy, aka Highbrow, and put him right there. And then you will take, again, I'm thinking this is probably supposed to be Apeface. We'll put him there. Now, they do have some weapons, which is nice. In the bag, there are instructions and weapons. Now, I'm guessing that these black weapons with the gray handles go in Unhappy's hands. Unhappy, the dwarf you hadn't heard of, kind of like Grumpy, but worse. And the red gun must be No Minds. So at least in the case of Highbrow, they definitely went with a major personality trait. No Minds, I mean, he is kind of savage and intimidating, but he's not necessarily that stupid. But Spasm is kind of a spaz, so kind of a thuggish. I mean, most of the binary bonded partners of the Decepticons aren't exactly high-class citizens. But I'm going to take a quick peek here. And yes, it would appear that there is a third mode for Apeface, aka No Minds. Well, let's take a look at the unhappy one first, because, you know, he wants to go back to reveling in his unhappiness. So let's give him a spin on the turntable of doom. He looked pretty cool. He's got the 2 blades of the helicopter. I believe he was the first 2-bladed helicopter that we got. I'm pretty sure. I know later on we got Obsidian and his ilk. Yeah, he's not a bad looking figure. Obviously no Autobot symbol. Now his panel on his chest looks like it might open, and it does, and it shows stats in there that I don't really understand. They're all pretty much the same, so I wouldn't go by that all that much. Make up your own stats. But let's disarm this dude and go over some posability. And looking at his feet, he does actually have some ankle swivels. Not super generous, but they are there. And he can do, it so appears, a full toes up Jean-Claude Van Damme. Not a problem. Kicking forward, yep, he does it. Kicking back, though, you know, violence is the last refuge of the incompetent, and he doesn't like to consider himself incompetent. He can do a side kick and just about a full split. There are these pegs on his legs that kind of keep it from being a 100% full split, so there's a little bit of a space there, but otherwise he's fine. Bends at the knee, and because there's a ball joint there, it does swivel all the way around. Twists at the waist all the way around very nicely. The arms, now you have to be careful aligning the blades, but they can go all the way around. Bends at the elbow very easily there. Does have a swivel, but because of the attachments here, can't swivel that far. But he can swivel off to the side a bit and inward if he wants. The head is a Headmaster. That does not seem to turn. Comes out, but let's see, doesn't seem to want to turn. So that's a kind of shame, but you know, try turning the head of an original Headmaster, not gonna work. So overall, a cool looking version of Highbrow, and he's small. From his binary bonded head to feet, he's about 3 5/8 inches tall, so he's not very tall at all. But a good size to interact with, say, your Titan Fort Max. That would be cool. All right, so let's get him into his vehicle mode. So of course, the first thing you do is take off the head. And before we do the vehicle mode, let's just see. The head does transform. Basically, you unfold him. I'll zoom way in and try to get it to focus. There we go. His arms don't move. Basically, they're there. They're molded. And head doesn't move. And there's no little flap on the back. So yeah, that's pretty much the transformation of the head. But let's get back to the main body. So there's Highbrow Unhappy, in his helicopter mode. Had to straighten out his little feet there. Now, the transformation is pretty clever. I'm going to do a video on it. But as you can see, you have the two helicopter blades. You have his two guns here for armament. And kind of molded in are these kind of Gatling guns on the end of the wings. You can see on the bottom, pretty much covered up. And he's got this little thing that helps him. It's almost like landing gear, so he's not flopping backwards. But overall, a decent version of Highbrow in third-party form. And right in the cockpit is Gort. Hey, Gort. Hey, Gort. How you doing, Gort? Kind of like Bert. But there is our Unhappy flyer. Very nice. We'll put Unhappy over here. And we'll get No Minds onto the turntable, so you can check him out. And we'll give him a spin on the turntable of doom. And you can see he is pretty well set up with all kinds of stuff and things. And of course his weapon there. He also has this plate. His does not seem to want to open very easily. I'm not going to force it. Maybe that's why he's got no mind. He's got no stats. But overall, a decent looking figure. Let's take a look at some posability. Now, does he have any type of ankle swivel? Not really. He's got ball joints on his feet. So they're kind of like ankle swivels, but not exactly. He can pretty much do a full Jean-Claude Van Damme, but his accoutrement, the kibble on his ankles, kind of makes it difficult, but still he can get there. He can kick forward. He can kick back. He can do a side kick. In fact, a full split very nicely. He seems to also have these weird joints in his legs. I'm sure that's for the transformation later. Bends at the knee very nicely and swivels because of the ball joint in that same knee. Twists at the waist all the way around very nicely. Arms go all the way around, nothing in the way. Bends at the elbow, swivels just like so. Arms can go out to the side and up and such. His head actually turns, which is interesting. I'm almost wondering if that one was just too stiff. But there he is, Spasma and Apeface. And similar to the other one, he unfolds, and that's pretty much it. But he does have an ape face on the back of the head, so I'm imagining that there is that additional application. All right, time to get him into one of his other modes. Now, the way I have him transformed is not exactly the way it shows, because it seems to say, take these and point them out like that. But I think that looks kind of dumb, so I found a way to fold them aside. But, I mean, he's a Cybertronian jet. He's got this piece here that kind of keeps him from taking a nosedive, even if you don't have the gun in place. And in his canopy, though he's a little cramped, is Spasma. So I took liberties. It didn't really show, I don't think, what to do with these, what I imagine are 8 fists, so I moved them forward so I could make room for those. But still a decent Cybertronian jet. No flight test, sorry. And from the tip of his gun to the end, he's about 5 1/4 inches. If you were to flip out these things, as it seems to want me to do, it's 5 3/4. If you don't count the gun goes out, it's 5 1/4, and then if you flip those in and you don't count the gun, it's like 4 3/4. Yeah, and as far as robot mode is concerned, he's the same height as Unhappy. But all right, let's check out his third mode. So there is No Minds, aka Apeface, in his ape form. And what's interesting is you actually remove the tail fins and attach them to the gun, so it looks kind of like a crossbow. So it's an ape with a crossbow. Who'd have thunk it? The instructions were not very clear. That's why I'm definitely going to do some videos very soon showing how to transform No Minds into his various forms. But he's not bad. He's got the big ape fists. He's got feet. He doesn't really look like Optimus Primal, but you know, Optimus Primal looked more ape-like in all of his modes than a mechanical ape. And of course, he's got the same type of posability in the legs and the arms. And with his apeness, his fists actually twist. But he's pretty cool. And again, for a very small transformer, that would go well with Scorponok, who's like 2.5 to 3 inches tall, depending on how you pose his legs. Pretty nice. So we have No Minds and Unhappy. Pretty cool set. And I will put links in the description for you to get these guys. I think they're cool. I think they're well suited for, again, some of the other toys like Scorponok and Fort Max that we have as Titans. You know, they would scale quite well with those. And even if not, they're just fun. Who couldn't use more Headmasters? And speaking of fun, if you are enjoying these videos and having fun watching, by all means, feel free to subscribe. That'd be awesome. And while you're mulling over No Minds and Unhappy, we actually have another third-party set of Headmasters over here, Hardhead and Skullcruncher as a set. Get enough of them and you have the entirety of Season 4 ready to go, which is only 3 episodes, G1. But we will see you next time. And as always, have fun and good hunting.